All right, let's get started with this hallway. Um, I haven't been thrilled with the black wall, and I haven't really loved that piece of furniture in the hallway. So we're going to take that out. And I was wanting to wallpaper this, but I'm out of this kind of wallpaper, so I'm just going to use a different kind. It's kind of the same that I used down here in this room, and it's close to what's already in here, so hopefully it won't be too noticeable that it doesn't match up too good. Whoops. But I've kind of got a piece cut here, which I'm going to have to cut it a little bit more because I don't have the corners cut right. But I'm going to put that there to start with. So let me put that in. All right, so there's the wallpaper, and it actually looks pretty good, even though the other wall is not exactly the same. I'm going to age it, and of course, I got to put trim along the bottom down here and the top. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm already liking it better. I just knew that black wall didn't look that great. And here's what I've done. Now, it looks pretty good. Now, I kind of went crazy with the black around the edges just to make it look, spooky. And of course, I'm going to re-show you the piece of furniture I had in there. Now, again, I'm not crazy about that in the hallway. This is going to actually go over here in the bedroom, but I went to a doll show recently, and someone actually gave me this clock. It's a little grandfather clock, and it's really heavy. I think it's made out of brass. I mean, you could like knock somebody out with this. It is really, really heavy, and it's an actual clock. You could actually put a battery in there, and it's got this really cute little decoration in here. Let me try to focus. Yeah, you can sort of see there's like a moon and a sun that would like spin and go around. I may have to put a battery in that at some point. But I just think this clock is going to be a little bit more appropriate for a hallway. Whoops. And let me see. I want to line it up with the rug. See, that looks way better. That just looks so much better than this piece of furniture. I mean, that piece of furniture is okay, but that just don't look like something that would be in a hallway. But the clock is so good. I think it looks so much better. And the only other thing I need to do that I've noticed I didn't do is there's supposed to be a doorway right here. So I'm going to trim out the doorway, and I'm going to make like a fake door. It's not going to actually open. So I'm going to have to put a fake door here on this side and one on this side and get those trimmed out. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I've got to look around, um, in all the other places and see if there's anything I've left out. Because I completely overlooked that door. I need to get that door done. But then I'm going to show you the outside. I've been working on the outside a little bit. And then right down here in this room is something to check out. But once I get that done, once we look at that, I'm going to start working on a character. So to make the door, like I said, it's just going to be a fake door. And I've just cut out a little piece of cardboard, like a little thin piece of cardboard. And of course, I got one for both sides of the wall. And I've just kind of made up this design. I mean, there's so many ways you can make a door. And then I've cut out these little pieces here that you see, and I've got those numbered 1 and 2. So 2 of those are for that side, and 2 of those are for that side. And then I've got this piece, and I'm just going to glue these down kind of like this. And then that's kind of the door. I mean, it's pretty simple and basic, nothing too exciting about that, but it'll have a really good look once it's on the wall. And of course, paint that. And then I don't know what I'm going to use for a door handle yet. I'm just going to wait till the perfect thing comes along. I may have to cheat and copy somebody else's idea. I'll have to look up, things to make doorknobs with. But for now, we're at least going to have the door on. So I'm going to, get this glued together, get them painted up, and then install these. So here's what I came up with, and I'm going to put another coat of paint on these. This is just a base coat, but I think these look pretty good. And I'm just going to pop it in there. That trim at the bottom, I got to cut that away a little bit because it's a little bit in the way, but that's kind of how it's going to look. And then of course I'll trim around that. So then this one will go on the other side. Alright, so everything you just watched till this point was filmed a couple days ago, and I've had to kind of go back and look at that to sort of pick up where I was. Now I've got the doors glued in place, but I want to go over those again, with some paint. And of course, I still don't have those handles done, but there's how the little hallway looks. That looks so much better than it did with this piece of furniture. But what I think I'm going to do right over here in the bedroom, I got to talk about these little stands here in a little bit. But right here in the bedroom, I think I'm going to scoot this piece down a little bit. And then I'm going to turn the rug over, put the bed like this, and then put this piece of furniture over here, kind of like that. And there's still plenty of room, for that like that. And I think that looks pretty good. And that's really the only other place I had for that. So that looks really good, and that took care of that. So now I've got that looking good. I've got the hallway looking good. Now I'm going to work on the window in the attic, because since I got these other windows done the other last video, I want to get that last window blocked in. But first I'm going to let me show these real quick. I did another doll show, and someone had these, and I was needing some of these, and I got, I think, 10 for like really cheap. So I picked these up. So these will be for my characters, because I was needing some more for Hocus Pocus and Willy Wonka characters. And I still need more. This still ain't enough to stand all my characters up on, but that's got me a good start. So let me go back down here to this other little room real quick, because there's one more little thing that I want to show down here. All right, so down here, this table or this desk got demolished the other day. I was working on some stuff, and I've got this piece of wood here that I use, and it actually knocked a chip out in here, but this fell off my table, and I had this sitting in the floor, and this piece of wood hit the desk and then broke the leg off the desk, and it knocked the clock off the desk and just kind of destroyed that. So I'm gonna have to fix that back. But what I was going to show you in this room was, of course, we've made this little bookcase, and they're, like we all know now, there's supposed to be a secret passage behind the bookcase. So that's going to slide down, and then there's our little doorway. I just cut that out a few weeks ago. So that's our little secret passageway that goes to the mystery room, or wherever it went. I can't remember where that went in the cartoon. I'll have to rewatch that episode, but I got that cut out the other day. I wish there was a way I could fix this to where you could make that go back and forth on its own. Like maybe push a little button, put a spring behind it. But I don't know, that'd be kind of complicated. So, it might just stay the way it is. All right, one more thing I did do that I need to show is out here on the side. Now, I'm going to try to get this at a good angle. mean, my camera is really close, but at least I can go up and down like this. I've started putting siding on the outside, and of course that's just little strips of the cereal box. And I know that's pretty plain, but there may be something later that we can do to give it more detail. Maybe put a vine climbing up the side or something, and it will look better too once it's painted. But I just wanted to show I did get the siding done on this one side, and I'll probably go ahead and do that to the other end at some point. But it's looking pretty good, so I'm just going to bump up here now and work on the window. All right, so now up here in the attic, I've got this little light that I clip on just to kind of help brighten it up a little bit, but it looks like a birdhouse. But this is the plastic that my windows actually came out of, and I'm just going to cut a little circle and put in there for the glass, and then from this little thin cardboard, I just cut out some little rings like this that will just make up like a trim or whatever would go around a window. I guess you'd call it trim. But I'm going to actually cut this in 4 parts, and that's why I've got it numbered, so I'll know exactly how it lines up, because real trim wouldn't be in like one continuous piece. So I just want to cut it to where it will look like different pieces create that trim around the window. So that's pretty simple. And then I've got to come up with some clever thing for the little cross pieces in the window. And sometimes I cut that out of cardboard, but I'm going to see what else I've got that might work better. All right, so here is what the window looks like. And you can see where I cut that into 4 little parts. And of course, just paint it. Now, I purposely got glue on that little clear plastic, but I actually like that. So you can sort of tell the plastic much better when there's a glare on it. But I purposely got that glue on there because I just thought, the way the other windows look, it will kind of match and look dirty like those. So now I just got to figure out what to use to make the little cross pieces. And I've got to decide how I want to do it. Do I want them just crisscrossed, or do I want them in like a spider web shape? I don't know. I'm not going to do that in this video. It'll give me time to think about, maybe look up some ideas of how round windows look. And I think my best bet for the detail in there would just to be cut it out of the little cardboard like I did the frame. Now I wished I had like a 3D printer, because it's like everybody uses those, or like a laser cutter, not a 3D printer, a laser cutter. I love, laser cutters. They can do so much, and I wished I had one of those, but I don't. So I'm gonna have to oh, that's weird. Did that just go off? All right, so anyways, yeah, 3D printer. Oh, what's going on with that? I have no idea. Yeah, anyway, that kind of little laser cutter would be so perfect for stuff like this. And so now I've got a little surprise that kinda isn't, because you saw it in the thumbnail, but I'm going to start on the next part. So now we're going to start working on Shaggy, and on the camera this looks really bright, but sometimes people say he has maroon pants with a green shirt, and if you kind of look at some pictures, that don't look bad. And I'm trying to decide, and I'm going to have to look more at this and decide which color I want to use for the pants, because I don't hate this, but this just looks so much more right. The brown and the green, because for some reason I feel like we see this more, but again, sometimes they are maroon. So I don't know, I guess. And then I got to compare it to Scooby. When Scooby is standing beside him, that's going to be a lot of brown. So I'm just going to kind of play with things, see what I like the best, look up some pictures, look around my room and see what things look like since I have so much stuff around me. Um, but yeah, I'm going to figure that out. And then for the shirt, I've got this tiny, tiny little bit of green that is just barely going to be enough to make his shirt. So I'm going to use that. I think this will be his hair color, because he sort of has a blondish, brownish color. I don't know if it needs to be darker than this or not. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. I can try it. If I don't like it, I can always take it off. Um, but anyway, I'm going to cut out my little parts after I decide which color, and then we'll come back and slap it together. And then I've got to make him a little goatee because, of course, he has some little hair in his chin, which I'm going to try to actually root that instead of just gluing it on. So I'm going to make me up a little tool where I can actually root some hair into the chin. Okay, so to make that little tool, this is like a handle that would normally hold a blade, but I've just stuck a little sewing needle in there, and I've clipped the tip of that needle off. I don't know how well that shows, but I've almost tried to make a little hook on the end to where I can catch the hair in there and then push it into the hole. I'm going to make a little hole in the chin and then just push that through there. That's what I'm going to try to do. So I'm going to make a couple little holes here. That's a pretty hard head, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. Because, I mean, I've seen people do this on more like a Barbie size, but not something so tiny like this. But I'm going to try it. I just need to get another needle out and poke a few holes in there with some pliers. Just take some pliers and do that. So let me grab all that real quick. Now let's see. All right, I'm kind of freaked out by needles and like doing stuff like this, but let's see if we can poke a hole or two in there. Actually, that's really soft, and that wasn't hard at all. Dang. How far is that going to go? All right. Whoop, there it comes. Which I didn't really need to go all the way through, but I was just doing it just to be doing it. But all right, so we've got a little hole in there. Now let's see. Whoops, there went that needle. All right, let's see if I can do this. Now, I've seen people do this on the internet, and of course, wait a minute. Let me make sure it's focused. I don't know. I'm trying to watch it more than I am the screen, but I think, oh my gosh. All right, so what's hard to do is making sure that I've even got it. See, it's hard to see that little hole. You just got to sit there and work on it. But, oh my gosh, it's working. You just want to keep poking it in there. Oh my gosh, look. I've got it poked in there. Now, obviously, he needs probably 3. Like, I'll put one on each side of that. But that's going to look pretty cute. And then I can just trim that and kind of fray it out a little bit to look more like hair. Right now, it looks like he's got one really big dreadlock hanging out there. Now, let's try to do a couple more. And I played back that little bit to see how that was looking. And the part where I'm doing this, the first time, it kind of, oh gosh, it just kind of freaked me out to watch it. I'm thinking, oh Lord, that needle's going to break or it's going to like run through his finger. But, all right. Ooh, oh no, I broke the needle. Why did I wiggle it? Oh my gosh. All right, well, I'm going to have to get another needle. I'm going to let that actually sit in there because as that's sitting in there, it will just kind of stretch that hole a little bit. So I'm going to let that sit there just a second while I grab another needle. All right, I got a bigger needle, and actually this one's a lot bigger. And all right, let me see. I don't think it's going to hurt to make the holes bigger, because the way that vinyl does, it will kind of expand back out anyway. So making it bigger will just make it easier to go in. All right. Well, now he looks crazy. He looks like some crazy seamstress woman has like just killed him. Looks like something out of a horror movie. All right, let me pull this one out and try to poke some more of that in there. I'm gonna cut that and poke this in. This is kind of the nerve-wracking part, because like I said, you can't really see it too great. I can't even tell where that hole is. Right. See, I'm afraid I'm gonna run it through my finger. All right, see, I want to make that hole bigger. I can't even tell where that's at. That first one went so well, and then this next one is just not as good. All right, let me do that. And it seems like, yeah, the bigger needle, making that bigger hole was definitely good. So now this is where I am. Let me tap the screen so that'll focus. All right, so you can see I'm actually pushing that in further. I'm just really making sure I push a lot of that in there. Once you get it in, it goes really easily. And I want to just make sure it's in there good. So I'm just going to keep feeding it in. And instead of just cutting it short, I'm just going to keep shoving all that in there. All right, now I will thin that out some. I'll cut it and trim it and fix it a little bit better later. But for now, all right, I don't want to make it any shorter than that. So I got to be careful pushing that in there. All right, now let me get all my pieces laid out here, because I've been out here working on cutting these parts out. Now that's his pants, and I've got them kind of, this may look crazy to people, but I've got these cut out to where I know exactly what I'm doing, but I've got them cut out a little wider at the bottom because I want them to look kind of like bell bottoms. That's his sleeves. I've already got him this little part here put on there just to make the little crotch part of the pants. And then here's his little shirt. I've got the back of it, which I'm going to put the sleeves on before, but this will be the back. And then this part is the front, and I've got it cut in a little V-neck. So there's his little shirt front, and then the back, which I hope that's big enough. I hope I've got it cut out big enough, and I've made it kind of long because it looks like his shirt's sort of long. He had some scuffs on his shoes, which I've took care of that. And someone mentioned paint this with fingernail polish, because I was having trouble with like Dorothy. I painted them with acrylics, but then I went over it with a gloss, which was not, it's like it don't want to cure. It's still real sticky. And these are like super sticky. So someone recommended fingernail polish, and that has worked perfect. I mean, my mama just happened to have black fingernail polish, and I went in there and grabbed that from her, and it's just so perfect. So that worked really well. And then I'm going to take, oh yeah, the hair, I'm going to actually take that off with this acetone, so that I can paint that a different base color. I don't really have to take it off if I'm going to paint it anyway, but I just kind of want to take it off because I want to try to do the forehead a little bit different. So I want to take that hair color off with the acetone. But first, before I do the hair, I'm going to glue these little parts onto his body. Now, here's how he looks, and I've got to do a little bit of cleaning up on here because he's got some glue on there that will, that I can scratch off. But again, like most of my clothes, there's some little imperfections in there, but you're not really going to look at it that hard. And his little V-neck ain't showing too well, but it will when I thin out his little goatee. And now what I want to do is take some of that acetone and hopefully it may not work, because sometimes, that don't seem to be phasing that at all, which is really weird because usually acetone will bring that paint off. But you know what? If it's going to be that hard to scrub, I'm not going to take the time to do it. I'll just paint it the color that I want it to be. Now, that's really good that it's on there that good, because, you normally wouldn't want that paint to come off, but all right. So what I'm going to do instead of this, okay, never mind. I'll just paint it the color I want it, kind of the same color as the hair. I was going to take it off and not have any color under it, but it's going to be a pain to get off. See, even I'm kind of putting some pressure on there, but I just don't want to have to fool with that. So I'm just going to forget it. And I just noticed another thing is he's got blue eyes, so I need to change his eye color to brown, and then I'll glue the hair on and he'll be finished. So let me do all that and we'll be back. All right, there it is. No, that's definitely not the final look. Now, this is just after I got the hair glued on, and I'm actually going to let it sit here until it dries completely, because I know I can't pull and tug on that while the glue's wet. So I'm not going to try to style it yet, but I just wanted to show how crazy it looked. He looks like a man that's been trapped on an island and has had no way of cutting his hair. But I just thought it was kind of funny, and I'm hoping that it's going to style kind of like I did Willy Wonka's, but I've applied the hair different, so I don't know how it's going to look. Plus, I had to consider the hair under there is molded on, like that darker brown hair is molded over the forehead, so I've had to glue it down on the forehead more. And I have no idea how that's going to look when I try to style it, but hopefully it'll turn out good. So after it's dry, I'll do that, and then we'll check out how it looks. All right, so I've hair dried this, and I'm going to go in at like this angle. I'm not going to cut straight across. Let me try to focus that. All right, so see, I'm not going to cut straight across. You just want to go at an angle and snip it away. And Shaggy is Shaggy, I guess you could say. I mean, he's like literally Shaggy. His hair is shaggy, so I want to keep it shaggy, but it still had some style to it. So I'm just going to shorten it to where it ain't in front of his face. And I'm not going to do this whole thing on camera, but I'm just wanting you to sort of see the angle. You just don't go in there snipping hair like this, because it's going to look cut. And as you see, there ain't no harsh straight lines. It's got kind of a nice cut to it. All right, so here's what he looks like. I am absolutely like crazy about it. It turned out so much better than I expected it to, especially when we first saw that hair. I really didn't know if I would get it styled the way I like it, but I think it has just turned out so perfect. I love the little goatee. I like that part is rooted in the chin. Um, Now, I kind of went over some of the seams on his clothes where, the seams are, where the raw edges are, with a little bit of watered down Mod Podge, just to hopefully, so that it hopefully doesn't fray. I could probably do fray check, but sometimes that fray check will stain, so I was afraid to do that. There's still a little bit on him that's wet, so some parts might look darker. And I even watered down some Mod Podge for the hair, um, just to kind of style that and make that stay together better. But now let me scooch him over a little bit because we have some props here. We got a few little Scooby snacks. Whoops, that's more than a few. And like, Scooby Doo, where are you? Boop. There's what he looks like with little Scooby Doo. I mean, that is just super duper cute. I'm just obsessed with it. I just love how that looks. Let me stop him right there so you can check that out pretty good. I mean, oh my gosh, that is so cute. This is probably one of my favorite characters I've made. Maybe just because I absolutely love Scooby-Doo. I love Shaggy. I have dressed up as Shaggy, I don't even know how many times, for comic book shows, a birthday party, Halloween, and I was even paid at times to play him at events. So that's just definitely a character that is close to my heart, I guess I would say. But absolutely crazy about how this has turned out. I mean, this is definitely one of my favorites, maybe my favorite of all that I've done so far. All right, so before I do the pictures, I did want to show his little feet. Now, again, that fingernail polish has been the best thing I've used because it's not sticky. It did dry, but he's got shoes on. Now, some people, well, it don't matter what some people say, because what matters is actually watching the cartoon. Some episodes he will have boots, and some he just has little shoes like this. Normally he has no socks. You can see that in the cartoon. And then there has been times that he has had socks, and one time they were green stripes, like a light green and a dark green. But I didn't want to fool with socks because I think most of the time it's just little shoes where he's not got socks on. I mean, that just looks so much like Shaggy. Oh, and I did my little, where I pinch it to give the front of the pant like a little crease. You can sort of see the little crease in the front to make it look a little more real. I mean, just sitting here behind this camera looking at that is just absolutely freaking cute. I'm just so in love with this. I love the brown eyes. That was something that bugged me before, but after I got them brown, I thought, okay, that's Shaggy now, because I'm pretty sure Shaggy would have brown eyes. Um, and obviously, I went with the brown instead of that maroon, because that maroon that I had was a little too bright, almost more red than maroon. But I think it just has turned out so good. So anyways, I'm going to take some pictures and we'll check it out. Thank you for watching. Please follow, subscribe, like the video, comment, whatever, all that YouTube stuff is, so you can keep up with the future videos that I post. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.